I twist my ankle, and I had a teammate, David Greenwood. He says, you twist your ankle, young fella, come over and sit with me. This is you need to. I said, no, man, I'm trying to make a name for myself. There's no way I can sit. I need to get out there and show what I'm capable of. I want to play. I want to win. I want to make an impact.
It might not be in the team's best interest, in your best interest, to play all 82. Is that something you've thought about at all since you made the goal?
That's a goal.
I'm available to go and be in the pro. If OBJ shows up, he might score 100.
And it's just basketball. At the end of the day, it's just basketball.
So if the guys are coming to watch me play, I don't want to miss that opportunity. Now, physically, if I can't do it, then I can't do it. But physically, if I can do it, and I just don't feel like doing it, that's a whole different lens.
Michael Jordan just ended LeBron James's entire career with one sentence. And when you hear what he said, you'll realize this wasn't just shade. It was a full-on demolition of everything LeBron stands for. Jordan went on NBC, stared straight into the camera, and dropped a line so cold that every NBA superstar probably felt their chest tighten. He spoke about fans who give up everything just to see one game, about what real greatness means, and about the difference between chasing a legacy and chasing a paycheck. And here's the craziest part. This wasn't just some random interview. This was Michael Jordan breaking his silence to send a warning shot to the entire league. Because while LeBron's been chilling, skipping games, and calling basketball just a game, Jordan reminded everyone what it truly means to love the grind. NBC just brought back NBA coverage for the first time in over 20 years, and they pulled off something legendary. They got Michael Jordan to return. Not as a player, obviously, but as a special contributor. That alone sent shockwaves through the basketball world. See, Jordan doesn't do interviews. He's been silent for decades, focused on his brand, on business, on building his empire. But when NBC announced that he'd be sharing his thoughts on today's game, the whole world stopped to listen. Fans were like, MJ's about to talk hoops again. Everyone tuned in, and what came next was chaos. He started off calm, talking about legacy, about passing the torch, about missing the competition, pretty standard stuff. But then came the second segment, and that's when the fire started. The topic, load management. And MJ didn't hold back for even a second. He said load management shouldn't even exist. He explained that every single game was a chance to prove who he was, that greatness doesn't take nights off. You could practically feel the tension through the screen. Then he hit them with the gut punch, talking about the fans, the people way up in the cheap seats who worked extra shifts just to afford one ticket. Jordan said those fans mattered. He said he never wanted to let them down. Playing wasn't about comfort, it was about respect. This wasn't just MJ talking. This was the GOAT calling out an entire generation. If you think that's wild, wait until you hear what he said next. It might just change how you see every superstar in the NBA forever. Oh, and if you love seeing legends speak truth like this, don't forget to subscribe for more stories that the mainstream media won't tell you.
Kobe didn't want to disappoint his fans, especially the ones in the 300 sections that saved up to watch him play. I remember asking him why he couldn't just sit a game out because he was hurting. He said, "What about the fans that saved up to watch me play just once?"
Think about that for a second. Jordan's talking about duty, about responsibility, about what it really means to be a professional when you're making 40, 50 million a year. He basically said, if people are paying their hard-earned money to watch you play, you owe it to them to show up. If you can walk, you play. No excuses, no rest days, no load management. You lace up and compete, that's it. Now, Jordan never dropped any names. He didn't say LeBron, he didn't call out Kawhi Leonard, Joel Embiid, or anyone else directly, but come on. Everyone watching knew exactly who he was talking about. Because the truth is, the entire NBA culture right now, the one where superstars skip games just because it's a back-to-back, that mindset was built under LeBron's influence. And Jordan just tore that whole thing down with a few savage sentences about fans sitting in the 300 sections. Social media exploded. LeBron fans rushed to defend him, saying, he's played so many games, look at his longevity. But when you check the numbers, the truth hurts. Jordan played in 93% of all possible games during his career, and that even includes 2 major injury seasons. LeBron? He's at 88%, not terrible, but nowhere close to MJ's standard. And here's the killer stat. Jordan played all 82 games 9 times, 9 full seasons, where he didn't miss a single matchup. LeBron's done that just once in 23 years. Once. That's the difference between being committed to the grind and managing your image. To really understand why Jordan's comments hit so deep, you gotta see the contrast between their eras. These aren't just two different players. They represent two completely different mindsets. Jordan played in the era of pain, pride, and pure toughness. The 80s and 90s. Back when the Detroit bad boys were throwing elbows like it was a street fight, when getting knocked to the floor wasn't a foul. It was just basketball. Every night Jordan took hits that would have sidelined half the league today. And what did he do? He got back up. Every single time. He didn't sit out with a sore ankle. He taped it up and went to war. Remember the flu game? 1997 Finals. Game 5. Utah Jazz. Jordan woke up sick as hell. Food poisoning, probably. He was so weak he could barely stand, and yet he dropped 38 points and led the Bulls to victory like nothing was wrong. That's not just greatness, that's obsession. And that's the difference right there. Jordan bled for the game, while today's stars treat it like a brand deal. If you're still watching, hit that subscribe button because this story is about to get even crazier. Most players would have called it a day after that. They would have told the coach, "I can't go tonight," and sat out. But not Jordan. He suited up, barely warmed up, walked straight onto the court, and dropped 38 points. He led the Bulls to a win that pushed them one game away from another championship. And when the final buzzer sounded, he collapsed into Scottie Pippen's arms. His body had nothing left to give. That's not luck, that's mentality. That's the standard Jordan's talking about. That's the fire that built his legend. And he wasn't alone. Kobe Bryant lived by the same code. There's this story where someone asked Kobe why he never sat out when he was hurt. His answer? What about the fans who saved up to watch me play just once? Kobe got it. He knew that for some kids sitting all the way up in the nosebleeds, that might be the only time they'd ever see him in person. And there was no way he was gonna rob that kid of their moment just because he was tired. Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Kevin Garnett, all those guys carried that same fire. Garnett spent years stuck in Minnesota. No help, no big roster, nothing. But every single night he played like the finals were on the line. Because to him, the game mattered. The competition mattered. These legends weren't playing for brands or endorsements. They would have hooped for free if they had to. That's how deep their love for basketball ran. But then came 2016, and that year changed everything. Kobe retired, Tim Duncan retired, Kevin Garnett retired. Just like that, the last Warriors from the 90s era were gone. The last guys who played through pain, who didn't make excuses, who treated basketball like life and death. Once they left, that whole mindset disappeared, and waiting right there to take over the throne, LeBron James.
What do you think of when you hear the term load management thrown around?
It shouldn't be needed, first and foremost. You know, I never wanted to miss a game because it was an opportunity to prove. It was something that I felt like, you know, the fans are there to watch me play. I want to impress that guy.
The king. LeBron stepped into that empty space and redefined what it meant to be an NBA superstar. But the culture he built, it's the complete opposite of everything Jordan stood for. Image over intensity, comfort over competition, brands over basketball. And here's where things get real interesting. LeBron's had this weird relationship with load management. One minute he's acting like he's Iron Man, playing through pain, saying, "I'm built different." The next minute, he's preaching about rest days and self-care like he's the spokesman for skipping games. Back in 2024, when Joel Embiid was catching heat for sitting out, LeBron jumped on social media to defend him. He went on a whole rant saying media personalities needed to apologize to Embiid, that players know their own bodies and shouldn't be pressured to play if they're hurt. Sounds noble, right? But when you actually look at LeBron's own history, things start to look real confusing. Because for someone who talks about responsibility and greatness, the man skipped plenty of nights himself. And the timing of when he plays versus when he rests, let's just say it's not as random as he wants people to think. For the first 15 years of his career, LeBron James was basically indestructible. The man was a machine, rarely got injured, played almost every game, lived up to every ounce of hype, and built a reputation as one of the most durable athletes in the world. But then, something changed. Once he came back to Cleveland for round 2, and especially after joining the Lakers, the whole load management thing started to become way too obvious. In 7 seasons with the Lakers, LeBron's played more than 70 games just once. One time. That's not the Iron Man we were promised. That's a superstar pacing himself like a part-timer. Now, to be fair, LeBron's 40 years old this season. He's dealing with something called sciatica, a painful nerve issue. He sat out the entire preseason just to be ready for opening night. And that's where Charles Barkley couldn't resist clowning him. Barkley joked, LeBron doesn't have sciatica, they just wrote old on the injury report, with an extra D. Everyone laughed, but deep down they knew there was truth in that punchline, and then came the quote that sums up everything wrong with LeBron's mindset. After losing in the finals, he said, "It's just basketball at the end of the day." Just basketball? Imagine Jordan saying that. Imagine Kobe ever saying that. They never would. Because for them, basketball wasn't just a game, it was life itself. That's the difference. Jordan and Kobe bled for this sport. To them, competition was sacred. LeBron? He only seems to care about winning when it fits his narrative. When he wins, rings matter. When he loses, suddenly it's just entertainment. The passion's gone, the fire's gone, and the worst part, that attitude spread through the whole league. Now look at it from a fan's perspective. You're a regular person working a regular job. A teacher, a construction worker, maybe an accountant. You love basketball. You save up for months just to buy tickets to see your favorite team. You take the day off, drive hours to the arena, bring your kid who's never been to an NBA game before. You finally get to your seats. You're hyped, ready to make a memory. And then, 30 minutes before tip-off, the announcement hits. The star player is sitting out tonight for load management. Not injured, just resting. Tell me that wouldn't make you furious. You'd feel cheated, like you just wasted hundreds of dollars and hours of your life for nothing.
You know, the fans are there to watch me play. I want to impress that guy way up on top who probably worked his ass off to get a ticket or to get money to buy the ticket.
You really cared about the guy who sat in the top deck at the Palace in Auburn Hills to watch you when you came to Detroit?
Yeah, because I know he's probably yelling at me, and I want to shut him up.
That's what's happening all across the country. Fans getting played while the players post selfies about prioritizing their bodies. They talk about recovery, about longevity, but they don't think about the single mom who saved 3 months of grocery money to buy her son 1 ticket for his birthday. They don't think about the die-hard fans sitting in the upper deck, who might only get to see their hero play once in their entire life. And what do the players do? They log off and fly to the next city while those fans go home with empty seats and broken dreams. That's the cost of this new culture. The fans lose, and nobody seems to care. That fan mattered to Kobe. Their experience mattered, their money mattered, and their respect mattered. He knew that when someone spent their hard-earned cash just to see him play, that was a big deal. And he wasn't about to disrespect that. Jordan felt the exact same way. He understood that some people sitting up in the nosebleeds probably worked harder for that ticket than he ever did for his game check. So he showed up every single night, because that wasn't just his job, it was his duty. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. The financial hypocrisy nobody wants to talk about. These modern stars are pulling in $40, $50, sometimes even $60 million a year. That's generational money, enough to change entire family trees. But somehow, these same guys can't play 70 games, can't show up for the very people funding their lifestyle. Come on, make no mistake, it's the fans paying those salaries. Ticket sales, jerseys, streaming packages, TV rights, all of it comes from people who love this game. The working class fans who keep the lights on in every arena. And those fans deserve way better than watching their idols sit out just because they feel like resting. But it's deeper than that. Load management doesn't just ruin the fan experience, it destroys team chemistry. How can you build rhythm when your best player's sitting every third game? How can role players adjust, develop timing, or trust the system when their leader's not even on the court? You can't build a championship team when half your roster's playing musical chairs with the schedule. Jordan understood this better than anyone. He said, part of being a great teammate is leading by example. If you're the superstar making $50 million and you're sitting out for rest, what do you think that tells the rookies making the minimum? It tells them showing up doesn't matter. That effort's optional. That this isn't passion, it's just a paycheck. And that right there is how a culture dies. Now let's talk about LeBron's legacy, because this is where it all gets real. LeBron's been called the face of the NBA for nearly 2 decades. The guy who supposedly carried the torch from Jordan and Kobe, the chosen one. But the reality, the culture he built is killing the league from the inside out.
You know, I need to get out there and show what I'm capable of. I want to play. I want to win. I want to make an impact. And I twisted my ankle. I taped it up, and I went back out and I played. You know, and I felt that. I always felt that.
And I am at a point in my career now where I don't lose sleep over that. Like, fuck, how did me and Luka lose?
And it's just basketball. At the end of the day, it's just basketball.
LeBron normalized 3 toxic ideas that have poisoned modern basketball. And the first one, winning doesn't really matter anymore. Yeah, he celebrates when he wins, he'll post, he'll pose, he'll talk legacy. But the moment he loses, suddenly it's just basketball. Rings don't matter. Competition doesn't matter. Everything becomes bigger than the game. That attitude spread like wildfire. Now half the league talks about longevity and business moves more than championships. Jordan fought every night like it was Game 7. Kobe said, "You rest at the end." But LeBron, he made it cool to lose gracefully and call it perspective. LeBron keeps saying, there's more to life than trophies. But let's be real, you can't have it both ways. Either winning matters or it doesn't. Jordan and Kobe, when they lost, it destroyed them. It haunted them until they came back stronger. That pain was their fuel. But LeBron, he just shrugs it off and moves on to the next business deal like it's nothing. Then comes the second problem. Loyalty doesn't exist anymore. And guess who started that trend? LeBron himself. He was the first superstar to make jumping teams look like a power move. He left Cleveland for Miami to build a super team, then ran back to Cleveland when it fit his image, then jetted off to LA when it was time to become a movie star. He's constantly recruiting other stars, trying to stack rosters so the road to a ring gets easier. But the second things go south, he throws those same teammates under the bus. That's not leadership. That's straight up manipulation. Jordan pushed his teammates, Kobe demanded greatness, but LeBron uses them. And now the third and biggest issue of them all. Fans don't matter anymore. Remember what LeBron said after one of his finals losses? All the people rooting for me to fail still gotta wake up tomorrow and live their same lives? Like, what? That line said everything you need to know. That's not confidence, that's arrogance. It's like he sees fans as beneath him, as people who just exist to watch his story unfold. Jordan would never say that. He knew the fans were everything. They were the reason he even had a platform. They were the reason basketball became a global phenomenon. Jordan didn't just play for himself, he played for everyone who believed in him. But LeBron's era, it's built on 3 ugly ideas. Winning doesn't matter, loyalty is a myth, and fans are irrelevant. And the result? The NBA's in the worst shape it's been in decades. Ratings are down, arenas are half empty, and fans are tired of watching superstars sit out games, talk about business ventures, and act like they're doing the league a favor just by showing up. And all of it circles back to one word: legacy. LeBron wants to be mentioned in the same breath as Jordan. His fans swear he's the greatest ever. But greatness isn't about box scores or Instagram highlights. It's about the standard you set, the example you leave behind. Jordan's legacy built a culture where showing up mattered, where every game meant something, and where respect for the sport came before everything else. That's what true greatness looks like. LeBron's legacy, it's all about preservation, maximizing the brand, turning basketball into a side business. Those are 2 completely different worlds, and only one of them deserves to be called the greatest. So here's the big question. Can Michael Jordan actually save the NBA? Can these NBC interviews really change anything? Honestly, probably not for this current generation. The damage is already done. Guys like LeBron, Kawhi, and James Harden, and they've built their entire image on this new culture of player empowerment, load management, and putting everything except basketball first. These dudes aren't changing now. They're way too deep in. But here's where it gets interesting. Jordan might not save them, but he can absolutely save the next generation. Think about it. The young bloods coming up right now. Victor Wembanyama, Cooper Flagg, Bronny James, and whoever else gets drafted in the next few years, they're watching, they're listening, and when Michael Jordan speaks, People stop what they're doing because even decades later, his words still carry weight. Now, Jordan's not doing these interviews for the current players. He's doing it for the future. He's planting seeds, reminding everyone what basketball used to be about and what it should be about. Maybe, just maybe, one of these young stars will take that message to heart and bring back the fire that's been missing. Imagine if Wembanyama adopted Jordan's mentality. If he played every single game unless he was truly injured. If he respected the fans who come out just to see him and understood his responsibility to them. If he built his legacy on showing up and competing, not managing a brand or preserving an image. That would change everything. It would force other rising stars to step up too, because nobody wants to be the soft one sitting out while their rivals out there grinding night after night. That kind of competitive pressure could revive the league. The best case scenario, players start to feel embarrassed. They see Jordan at 60 years old, talking about playing through the flu, about showing up for the fans in the cheap seats, about having a duty to compete, and suddenly they realize how weak they look in comparison. Maybe that embarrassment turns into motivation. Maybe they start playing more games. Maybe they rediscover the pride that used to come with being a professional athlete. When playing wasn't a burden, it was a privilege. But there's also a darker possibility. The worst case scenario is they tune him out completely. They roll their eyes and say he's out of touch, that he doesn't understand modern sports science. They'll double down on load management, surround themselves with yes men, and convince themselves they're smarter than the old generation. If that happens, the gap between the fans and the players will grow even bigger, and the soul of basketball might never come back. But let's hope that doesn't happen, because if even one of these young stars hears Jordan's message and decides to bring back that old school mentality, it could spark a revolution. And if that worst case scenario happens, if the NBA keeps heading down this soft, disconnected path, then it's only a matter of time before the league starts to crumble. Ratings will keep dropping, fans will keep walking away, and eventually, basketball won't even matter like it used to. That's the fork in the road the NBA is facing right now. Jordan's NBC interviews aren't just casual talk shows, they're a wake-up call. They're forcing everyone in the league to pick a side. Are you with the old school mentality that built the NBA into a billion-dollar empire? Or are you with the new school comfort culture that's slowly bleeding it dry? And the craziest part, the fact that this is even a debate shows just how far we've fallen. 20 years ago, nobody questioned whether players should show up and play. It was expected. That was the bare minimum. Now, suggesting that guys making $50 million a year should play 70 games somehow sounds controversial. What kind of logic is that? Jordan's message couldn't be simpler. If you're healthy enough to play, you play. You honor the fans who paid to see you, you respect your teammates who depend on you, and you remember that this game is bigger than you. That's not some deep philosophy, and that's just basic professionalism. But in LeBron's era, even that feels impossible. Because here's what really happened. Michael Jordan went on national TV and reminded the world what real greatness looks like. He didn't need to say LeBron's name. Everyone knew exactly who he was referring to. Jordan was calling out the culture that LeBron built. The one where sitting out is normal, losing is just part of the process. And fans are treated like background noise. Jordan exposed all of it. This isn't just about one interview. This is a battle for the soul of basketball. On one side, you've got Jordan's standard. Show up, compete, and respect the game. Play for pride, not publicity. Play for the fans, not the filters. And on the other side, you've got the new era mindset. Rest when you feel like it. Downplay competition. Call the game a business when you lose. That's not greatness, that's detachment. The sad truth is, this current generation might be too far gone, too caught up in brands, stats, and social media likes to understand what made the game special in the first place. But the next generation, that's still up for grabs. Jordan's voice, his fire, his honesty, his legacy might be exactly what the league needs to bring basketball back to what it once was, not to save the 2020s, but to save the 2030s, to remind the future superstars that greatness isn't just about talent, it's about showing up, giving your all, and competing like your legacy depends on it. Because it does. It's about understanding that when you're blessed enough to play this game for a living, you owe it to everyone. The legends who came before you, and the fans who still believe in you, to give your best every single night. That's Michael Jordan's message. That's the standard he's defending. And whether the NBA listens or ignores him will decide everything. Whether this league keeps its soul or loses everything that made it special in the first place. Because greatness isn't about comfort. It's about commitment. It's about respect, pride, and showing up even when it hurts. If you believe that too, make sure to subscribe right now and stay tuned for the next one. You won't want to miss what's coming next.